Imagine having a dent in your head, but actually it is okay because you know what else I have? I have a 95% win rate in trading. The chances of losing with a 95% win rate are so low that I've been on a winning streak for over 3 months now. And I'm not only talking in demo trading or cherry picking setups, I've been talking about real trades, real money, and real results. Now, if we just skip forward in the calendar, you can see green days, green days, green days, and this month is also going to be only green days. Now, and this is not just something I pulled out of my asshole, but actually proven trades I've taken along with the paid and with the free members of my Discord. When I say proven, I mean timestamped, documented, journaled, no hindsight bullshit. Okay, now and obviously this just didn't come out of nowhere. I've been trading for 5 years now, but the first 2 years were me professional donating money to the markets because I didn't know what I was doing and I was the guy who thought that indicators are the holy grail. But it didn't have to be this way. Many inspiring traders are in the markets for years to grasp the taste of profitability. And the sad part, they never get to the place where they're actually doing the right things because never teach them what they actually have to learn. So it is not about you being smart enough to learn all of these different things. It's just because you're chasing the wrong things. Now the reason why most traders fail is first of all because they give up on trading altogether. They get in a few losses, get discouraged, start telling themselves it's all rigged. They start blaming the broker, the spreads, the news, the manipulation, whatever in hell it is. Everything except their own fault. And they don't take responsibility into their actions they have actually taken, which leads to countless of losing streaks and unnecessary money that has been taken from them by the markets. Now you have probably seen this meme somewhere on Instagram, TikTok, you name it. The guy who didn't dig one more time is the one missing out on the gold. That meme actually hits hard because it's true. The one who just keeps showing up every single day, keeps pushing, eventually will be rewarded. My point is, no matter how hard the journey is, you have to never give up because the journey is worth it. I've been there myself. But you have to put in the work. You have to journal, backtest, document your trades. Because if you do not do those things, then this will just stop you from actually becoming a profitable trader. But I know you're not one of those guys because you have gotten onto this video and you're seeing this for a reason. Because you're not just like the regular Joe Schmo who just drops this all and thinks that this is all a scam. You're here because you want to break through of the cycle, because you want to be the exception. Now, but the problem is, even in that scenario, many get tricked into thinking those so-called gurus will help them reach profitability. Now obviously this is just a bunch of bullshit. If you look at this kind of thumbnail yourself, you'll quickly realize steal this insane simple 90% win rate strategy, 20 RR. Now just to put that into perspective very quickly, if you do this a couple of times with $100, you become the richest man on earth. This is not possible. Trading is not getting rich overnight. It takes time. And it compounds very easily, but only if you do the right things that we're going to discuss in this video. Now, and here's a very common strategy that these gurus use to hook you on a specific time of the day that you need to trade during the New York session, during the London Open, whatever it is. And in this specific time window, the magic happens. But it's all just a scam to trick you into being tied to a specific time of the market. And this sounds great at first. Give me a specific time of the day, let me trade there, I'm done for the day. But we have all been there, and I've been there myself personally. When I just started out trading, I basically had no time trading because my job was not allowing it. Now I was working full-time, committing, dealing with life, and by the time I got home, the market has already moved. It's already done. And here's the biggest problem. I cannot just simply quit my job because in order to trade, I need money. And I could only get the money from working. So it's a cycle that you basically can't break through. You're stuck between needing time and also capital. That's why my strategy is not tied to a specific moment in time. You can trade it at any given moment if you want. Literally, even right now, if we go into the very recent price action, I guarantee you I will find you a trade. You don't need to wait for a specific session to open. So you need to stare at the market the entire time for hours on end just to know where price is going to go next. And then you realize there is not even a trade. Now, as I said, you could easily take a trade, but only if you know all of the key rules that I've implemented in my strategy. Look, I'm not forcing you to watch the video all the way through, but if you're not watching all the way through, then I cannot guarantee the same results because that is the only way of breaking through the cycle. I've been there. I've done all of these analysis myself. So once again, what if you can just trade at any given moment in time whenever you want to trade and actually see a setup while also keeping your job and not having to choose between stability and financial growth? What we focus on is not trading the time, but we only focus on the price. That's the core of everything. You've probably heard of it multiple times. The charts consists of two things, time and price. While that's true, it becomes hard if you have to predict both. Trying to guess when something is going to happen is a losing game. But predicting where the price will go, so basically where something will happen, is much easier, and that is your job in this way of trading. That is where my entire edge resides in. That is the reason why I was able to pull all of this off. Because this is a typical trade you would have taken. Most of the times you're right on the direction, but you got stopped out beforehand because you're focusing on predicting price and time. So basically, when we have a specific level we like to look out for in price, because we know from backtesting and journaling and also documenting the trades that we will simply trade into the upside and hit the take profit easily. And the only way to really pull this off is having a low risk to reward ratio. That's the only way to have such a high winning streak and also high win rate as a whole. There is no other strategy that gives you these kinds of stats besides this one. I've tried them all. Scalping, swing trading, position trading, indicators, order blocks, smart money concepts, whatever you name it. None of them gave me the consistency that I have right now. Now guys, you can have the best strategy, the best risk management, and also be a master at psychology, but every professional trader needs a professional journal. That's why I personally use TradeLens. Now if you want a 10% discount, it's the second link in the description. Many like to say things like, when you're losing, the entire account is blown, or when you lose, you're losing 10 trades worth of progress, but simply no, that is not the case, and this is not what we do. Because first of all, I'm risking the same amount someone else would do with a 1-4-2. So let's just say that I'm risking 1%, the other guy, or perhaps even you, is also risking 1% if you're keeping your psychology and risk management in check. So I'm no different than you, I'm also risking 1%. I'm not risking my entire account on it. And here's another very funny thing. I've gotten a lot of hate for this way of trading, but the one thing that all of those guys have in common, they are not profitable. They have never seen a payout, they have never seen a certificate in their life, and this is the only thing that they have in common. So instead of hating this way of trading, try to actually grasp payouts that I've gotten and be realistic with the results and open-minded. Now let's just assume that we have taken all of these different trades. We have hit a bunch of wins and we are on a high winning streak. Up until this point, we have made 2% on the entire account while trading all of these different trading setups, but we have finally gotten into a loss. So we have made 2% with these entire winning streaks. Ignore the losing one for now. Now 2% sounds like not much, but on a 100k account, that's already 2k in your pocket. Now imagine you have 1 million in funding. That is already 20k in your pockets. Now although we are basically almost immortal to the market, we're also not invincible. So eventually we are going to lose, and that is very normal in trading. Nobody has a 100% win rate. So then we have taken a loss and we basically lost 5 trades worth of progress. And now you say, well, we have traded for X amount of time. We have just lost a trade and that set us back for months, weeks. That is not the case once again. Now, as you can see, all of these winning trades, they have one thing in common. We always go for about a 0.2 risk to reward, meaning 0.2 times 5 is 1. So we need 5 trades in order to reach 1%. But after we have taken a loss, we now increase our risk to reward, because in this way of trading, once you have hit a loss, it is very unlikely you will hit another loss because the win rate is so high. Bear in mind, it's 95%. So what we're going to do, we're not going to take a regular 0.2 risk to reward. We're going to take a 0.5. So with this single trade, we have recovered half of this entire loss. And then the next trade is also going to be a 0.5. It's simple as that. We have recovered. It did not take us months to recover this single loss. It only took us 2 trades, and this didn't take weeks or months. And after we have recovered our entire loss, we're going to go back into trading 0.2 once again, because we're keeping it very simple. So you see, we have a very special way of managing our entire risk to reward as a whole. It's not just about the setup. It's about how you manage the numbers right. Now, and if you're wondering why is there a trade on the chart, it's because I have given this exact signal to all of my students with the entry, stop loss, take profit, and also why I'm taking the trade, while also analyzing the charts live. I don't know when you're going to watch this video, but make sure you rewind back onto USDHF and check the trade out yourself, because this will hit take profit. Now, the single most important concept about my trading is relative equal highs and relative equal lows. Now think of those levels as like a little magnet onto the market. We love to revisit those places because the regular Joe Schmo puts his stop loss right above these highs or lows for that matter, and he's just going to get stopped out and frustrated. The market needs liquidity in order to process all of your limit orders, market orders, whatever it is. So it goes back to visit those kinds of places because there's a bunch of liquidity trapped there. Again, Joe Schmo is putting his stop loss above there. So instead of trading against the market maker, you want to trade with the market maker because you need to understand how the game is played. Because no matter what you're going to do, you will never be able to control the price. The only thing you can do as a trader is adapt to the market and be happy about it because you journal and backtest your entire strategy. Now, I'm giving you my strategy so you don't even have to go through the step of finding one. Remember I told you earlier, you can take the trade at any given moment, it doesn't matter. Meaning, since you have identified the relative equal highs correctly, you can trade it right now. Meaning, since you have identified the relative equal highs correctly, you can take the trade as long as they did not get traded back into. So at any given moment, after this candle, the relative equal highs were already confirmed. Everything from here on, you could have taken a trade. If that is not enough of a time window, then I can't help you because this is 2 days, literally 2 days that you could have just hopped into the chart for 5 minutes, set your market order or limit order, stop loss, TP, that's it. Now look, my strategy is not hard to master and it is far away from the things that you are seeing on the chart because most of the gurus on YouTube try to make it very complicated because that makes them feel smart, and that also traps new traders into believing that they're actually smart and they know what they're talking about, but they're clearly not. Because trading has to be simple, and if you make it complicated, that's the exact point where you're starting to lose. Now keep in mind that I teach way more concepts for my students, but for now I'm going to show you a thing that will bring you very far. When we have relative equal highs and they are very far away, many would assume since the relative equal highs are so far away and they're a strong magnet onto the upside, you should trade just all the way to that relative equal high, be done for the day, and you're rich. Now obviously that's wrong. Marking out any random relative equal high and low on the chart will not make you profitable. It's simply not enough. You need multiple confluences, and it doesn't even have to be different concept. It can still be the relative equal highs, but you would like to have more of them, which is exactly why I've plotted out another relative equal high for you. Because now we not only have one confluence, but two. We are only aiming for the very first relative equal highs, and most of the time we don't even want to shoot all the way through the first ones. This is an absolute no-go. This can be done if you know what you're doing, but this is what you should do, especially in the beginning and if you want to stay consistent. Now, of course, you want to give the trade way more room to breathe. We always have an easy target that will be guaranteedly hit. That's how you build consistency. That's how you build confidence and have an actual peace of mind. Because that brings us to the psychology part of trading. If you can't keep your psychology in check, you'll simply lose and get frustrated. You'll start doubting your setup, second guessing your own entries, and worst of all, breaking your rules. Now this is of course the single most important thing, and I shouldn't even have to be able to tell you this. You have to stick to your rules. The problem is that most of y'all don't even have key rules that you have implemented into your way of trading. Now my personal rules are, I'm not going to take any NFP days. If you go on forexfactory.com, you'll see that oftentimes the first Friday of the month has non-farm employment change news. We're not going to trade that entire day. We're also not going to trade the first 3 days of the month. Now, once again, this is not just something I've pulled out of my asshole. This is something that actually works, because if you trade on those specific days, you'll most likely end up losing. So we're only going to take the best trading days. That is very obvious, and no modifications on the trade. Now, what do I mean by that? Once the trade has been set up, the limit order, the stop loss to take profit, you don't change anything. That's it. You keep it there. Now, sometimes in my way of trading, there's a cancellation price, but we're going to talk about that in another video because I can't cover it all in one. Now, why am I showing you this? You have to know the stats of your strategy, because if not, you will not have peace. And there's only two ways to actually achieve this: by live trading and also by journaling and backtesting. But it is not the simple type of backtesting where you're just like, okay, man, I would have taken this trade, or nah, I wouldn't have taken this one, because I've been there too. I've back tested, but stupidly, right? I've seen a trade, and if it was a loss, I'd be like, nah, I wouldn't have taken that anyways. You need to know your win rate, your average risk to reward, your drawdown periods, your best setups, your worst setups, everything. This is almost like a job where you're just constantly collecting data while also keeping your psychology in check. There's not much more to it. So the next thing that helped me to master psychology is every time I was in drawdown or before I took a trade, I looked at my journal stats and told myself, if I don't do exactly what I did in my back testing, I'm going to lose and will not have the same results. Now keep in mind, this is not me just flexing with my stats on you. We already did that in the beginning of the video. This is me showing you that you have to look at your journal stats because that builds confidence. That gave me personally peace because now I'm not just relying on random things on the chart. I'm actually relying on things that have previously been backtested and journaled. You can't expect consistency if you're not consistent yourself. Now here's a quick breakdown. Our trade setup looks something like this. We don't want to trade all the way to the higher relative equal highs, so our take profit is barely above 10 pips. Now remember, you need to give the trade room. If you're not giving the trade room, this is not going to work out because this trade might as well goes into a drawdown and even barely hits a stop loss, but eventually it will hit take profit. But it's obviously not what a real chart looks like. And it goes back to what I have just told you. I am so confident in my stats and through my journaling that I know I have a 95% win rate, and what's the likelihood of losing with this high of a win rate? It's almost zero. Now some might say, what if it doesn't work out? And I say, but what if it does? Because statistically it will. That is the difference between gambling and also trading. One is based on hope, the other one is based on data and actual stats. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to catch every single trade and also not every single move. But you need to show up, build a framework, journal your trades, and this is the only way you're going to achieve this high of a winning streak. There's no other way. You have made it this far into the video, and let me be very clear about this one. You can go two paths in trading. Either you're taking the path that I had to take, which led me to countless of platform challenges being blown and also personal accounts that I have lost. The list goes on. Or you can also take the shortcut, being mentored by somebody who has 5 years of experience, more than 500k in total funding, and also multiple platforms. Now I have been interviewed by platforms where I basically explain how I have gotten to all of those payouts. When you're trading for this long, your win rate is extremely high. That's why we barely get into any kind of drawdown. Now, and this is not just a regular mentorship, you will get access to everything I have learned over the past 5 years of experience. So if you want to learn how to get the same results, it's the first link in the description.